If you've ever been told that when your child shuts down, you just need to push through it, I want you to know something. That advice, it's making things worse. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because nobody explained what's actually happening in your child's brain in that moment. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Hi, I'm Christine from the STEM Reset, a place for neurodivergent and gifted kids who are done being told their child just needs to try harder. I raised 3 neurodivergent kids. All 3 are adults now and engineers. And I can tell you from lived experience, the answers that worked for our family had very little to do with pushing harder and a lot to do with understanding how their brains actually work. Not just in school, in life. But before we get into any of that, can I just say something? If you're sitting there right now, exhausted, wondering why nothing is working, wondering if somehow you're making it worse, you're not. You're paying attention. You're showing up. You're here watching this, looking for a better way. That's not a parent who doesn't care. That's a parent who cares so much, it's exhausting. And the reason it's so hard is that most of the systems around your family, the schools, the advice, the expectations, were built for a different kind of brain, not your child's. And when you're handing a child a map that wasn't drawn for the way they think, it doesn't mean they're lost. It means they need a different map. So let's talk about what's actually going on. When your child is overwhelmed, when they're frustrated, when they've completely shut down, the thinking part of the brain has gone offline. Not because they're being difficult, not because they're choosing this. The brain has switched into protection mode. And in that state, it cannot process information. It cannot reason. It cannot learn. Think about the last time you were completely overwhelmed. An argument that came out of nowhere. A day where everything landed at once. That moment where you just couldn't think straight. That's the same thing, the brain in protection mode. So when we push harder in that moment, we're not helping anyone get back to thinking. We're adding pressure to a system that's already at its limit. And the brain responds the only way it knows how. More resistance, more shutdown, more of exactly what we're trying to move past. That's not a character flaw. It's not a parenting failure. It's a brain state. And the good news is brain states can be shifted. Now I want to pause here for a second because I don't just want this to be about learning. It's not only about homework or meltdowns over worksheets. This is about life. Because neurodivergent kids don't just experience school differently, they experience the world differently. The grocery store on a busy Saturday, a loud family gathering, a social situation where everyone else seems to know the unwritten rules. That same overwhelm shows up everywhere. And the tools that help a child reset during a learning meltdown are the same tools that help them navigate a hard moment at any age, in any situation, for the rest of their lives. So what we're really building here isn't just another study strategy guide. It's a way of understanding how this brilliant particular brain works and how to help it thrive, not by changing it. I remember standing in the school playground one morning, listening to other parents compare notes on the homework calendar. How much there was, how stressed their kids were, how late they'd all been up the night before getting it done. And I remember thinking, why are we doing this? My daughter's first grade teacher had basically decided that half the curriculum was going to be delivered by the parents at home after school to a child who had already spent 7 hours trying to hold it together. And I just didn't do it. I'd get the sheet. I read the sheet. I'd throw the sheet out. Not because I didn't care about their education, but because I could see what that sheet didn't account for. My kids came home depleted. They didn't need more curriculum at the end of the day. They needed to come back to themselves, to decompress, to just be. And from that place of calm, curiosity would come back on its own. Questions would start, ideas would surface. That's when the real learning happened. Not at the kitchen table at 8 o'clock at night, not under pressure, but from a place where their brain was actually ready. And this is the part I really want you to sit with. A lot of what traditional systems reward is compliance. Compliance looks like success from the outside. The child is sitting, they're quiet, they're doing what's asked, but internally, they're managing, suppressing, using every bit of energy they have just to get through the moment. Not exploring, not thinking deeply, not building anything that will stay with them. And for a neurodivergent child who's already working so hard just to function in an environment that wasn't built for them, compliance is exhausting in a way that doesn't always show. They hold it together all day, and then they come home, and that's where you see it. The meltdown that seems to come from nowhere. The shutdown over something small. The child who was fine at school and falls apart the moment they walk in the door. That's not bad behavior. That's a child who finally feels safe enough to let it out. So what do we do instead? It starts with one small shift. Instead of asking, how do I get them to do this? We ask, what would actually help them right now? That sounds like a small change, but it isn't. The first question is about the task. The second question is about your child. And when you lead with your child, everything about how you show up changes. You stop fighting how their brain works, and you start working with it. Small steps, real choices, a sense of agency and curiosity. Because curiosity is what brings the thinking brain back online. I know this works, not because I read it somewhere, because I lived it. 3 kids who the system genuinely struggled to place. 3 kids who were told in various ways they needed to try harder, focus better, be a little less themselves. 3 kids who are now adults, building things, solving problems others walk past, leading teams, not despite being neurodivergent, but because of it. Because the way their brains work, the way they question things, see patterns others miss, refuse to accept that's just how it's done. That's not something to manage. That's something to protect. Your child is not behind. They're running on a different operating system. And once you stop trying to change the system and start learning how it actually works, the things they're capable of will genuinely surprise you. If any of this resonates, I've put together a free guide called the STEM Reset Starter Guide. It helps you recognize what state your child is in and what to do in those moments when everything shuts down. You can grab it in the link below, because once you start seeing this, you stop asking, how do I get my child to do this? And start asking, what would actually help them right now? That's where everything starts to change. In the next video, I'm going to show you what this actually looks like in real life, because this is the part most families are left to figure out on their own. We'll see you there.